Well, as Grand Master, it is a real pleasure and an honor to be welcoming you to this outstanding program that we put together as part of the celebration of our 230th anniversary of the founding in 1789 of the Grand Lodge of Ancient, Free, and Accepted Masons of Connecticut. And I want to thank every one of you for coming and joining us this afternoon. When we were talking about how we wanted to celebrate, I thought there was probably no better way than with a program that would be centered on our core Masonic values: brotherly love, relief, and truth. Now, these are tenets which really define us when we talk about not being just men, but Masons. And we have the good fortune of having an outstanding scholar and distinguished professor here, William R. Cook, to speak to us on three topics: cathedrals, Tocqueville, and St. Francis of Assisi. Incidentally, each one of these is a subject of an entire course by Dr. Cook as part of the Great Courses series. So if you want to learn more, you can go there for the whole course. Now, why did we pick cathedrals as one of the topics? Well, it's because we trace our roots to the brotherhoods of operative Masons which constructed these magnificent monuments, erected to God and dedicated to various saints. Structures which stand as monuments, in my mind, to the very best in human nature. And those guilds, the operative Masonic guilds, with their emphasis on the intellectual and spiritual growth of their guild members and their focus on the care for each other, continue to inspire us in Masonry today. Tocqueville, because of his great book on American democracy, published in 1835. In it, he examined the values and strengths of our Republican form of government, which, remember, was quite new then. He disclosed really great and important truths about its core values, but also the potential pitfalls which could destroy it. And these values we proudly credit, at least in part, to our Masonic brothers, such as Washington, Franklin, Wooster, Revere, Lafayette, and even Voltaire. Truths which are as important to examine today in this world as they were almost 200 years ago. Now, one of the most inspiring lectures and favorite lectures of mine in Masonry concludes with an admonition to the brothers that we are to, through the whole creation, trace the glorious author by his works. And St. Francis of Assisi is, in my mind, one of the great exemplars of doing just that. And also of the need to express our brotherly love by actions that not only provide for the relief of our poor distressed brother Masons, but include the widespread charitable work for which Masons are so justly proud. I think you're in for an afternoon of both intellectual and spiritual stimulation and growth, and to be in the company of others who are like-minded as we examine rationally and civilly, I think, these very important topics. Now, our speaker, Dr. William R. Bill Cook, is a Phi Beta Kappa graduate of Wabash College. He received his MA and PhD at Cornell, and for 42 years he taught medieval and Renaissance history at the State University of New York at Geneseo. He retired in 2012 with the title of Distinguished Teaching Professor of History. Now, he's won many teaching awards, including the Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Teaching. He's the author of 5 books and the editor of several others. He's directed a dozen summer seminars for high school and college teachers on behalf of the National Endowment for the Humanities. Now, he has made 10 courses, both video and audio, for the Great Courses, and that's how I came to know him. And in the past 13 years, he served as a resource more than 20 times for the YPO, WPO, and CEO. I used to know them as the Young Presidents Organization for the training of leaders of companies, primarily CEOs. And he's led many programs for Friends of Florence, a charitable organization that funds the restoration of art in Tuscany. He has adopted 3 sons and has served as a guardian for 8 other boys in their teen years. For 30 years, he's organized an annual fundraising banquet in his hometown of Geneseo, New York, to benefit Covenant House, which brings me now to his foundation. The Bill Cook Foundation seeks to help some of the world's poorest children get the best education possible. Thus, the foundation supports education from basic literacy, vocational schooling, right on through university education. In general, it funds tuition and other direct expenses for children. And this focus on children is very important to us. It's why we have the Shrine Hospitals to take care of children with physical challenges primarily. We have the Scottish Rite, the building you're in now. The Scottish Rite has 3 dyslexia centers here in the state to deal with children that are facing the challenges of dyslexia. And then we have the Master Mason Student Assistance Program to help with identify and deal with children that are at risk from things ranging from bullying to suicide tendencies to depression and a whole range of things that sometimes the school systems need tools and assistance in doing. But he also recognizes that there's a need for providing housing and food in some of these instances. The foundation works in some of the world's poorest countries and with the most disadvantaged children, including orphans, refugees, and victims of any number of types of discrimination. And it supports projects where relatively small amounts of money can do great good. And he told me a story last night at dinner about how his son had a fundraising in his local school to install toilets in a school in one of the sub-Saharan African communities. And they raised enough money to install the toilets, and they'll be going over there to put up a memorial to dedicate those toilets, as it were. So it gets right down to some very basic needs that we take for granted in our schools. In short, Bill's foundation goes wherever there's a great need. So we are going to be inviting you this afternoon, if you're so inclined at least, to join with the charitable arm of our Grand Lodge, the Connecticut Freemasons Foundation, to give generously. His foundation operates with very little overhead. Nearly every dollar goes directly to the children. It is a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization, and the foundation directors, our foundation directors, have indicated to me that they are willing to match any donations that are made this afternoon up to a total of $5,000. So you're certainly encouraged to take advantage of the generosity of that matching grant. So with all of that, I will now vacate and leave the podium in the good hands of Dr. Cook.
Thank you, Mel.
Yeah.